I stare at my phone, reading Ryan's message for the fifth time. My packed suitcase mocks me from the corner of our bedroom, tags still crisp and white against the navy fabric. The Maldives can wait, apparently. His mother needs him more. My name is Josephine, and 12 hours ago, I was supposed to be boarding a plane to paradise with my fiancé. Instead, I'm standing in our apartment trying to make sense of a story that doesn't add up. She collapsed at the grocery store, Ryan had said, his voice cracking. They're running tests. I can't leave her alone like this, Joe. You understand, right? Of course I understood. Linda is like a second mother to me. I'd cancelled everything: the resort, the seaplane transfers, the sunset dinner cruise. Ryan promised we'd reschedule once things settled down. The doorbell rings, startling me from my thoughts. Through the peephole, I see Linda's familiar silver bob and bright red lipstick. My stomach drops. I open the door. Linda? Aren't you supposed to be in the hospital? She blinks at me, clutching a casserole dish. Hospital? Honey, I'm bringing you my chicken pot pie. Thought you might need some comfort food since your honeymoon got cancelled. The blood rushes from my face. Who told you it was cancelled? Ryan called last night. Said there was some emergency at work. A crucial project deadline moved up. He was so upset about disappointing you. My hands start to shake. That's not what he told me. Linda's expression shifts from confusion to concern. What did he tell you? That you were in the hospital, that you collapsed at the grocery store. The casserole dish nearly slips from her hands. He what? I invite her in, and we sit at my kitchen island, the untouched pot pie between us like a barrier. Linda's face has gone pale, her usual warmth replaced by something harder. Where is he now? She asks. At the hospital. With you, supposedly. My phone buzzes. Another message from Ryan. Mum's doing better. They're keeping her for observation. Don't worry about visiting. She's really tired. Love you. I show Linda the message. Her hands clench into fists. Call him, she says, right now. I put the phone on speaker and dial. It rings 4 times before going to voicemail. He always answers my calls, I whisper. Linda pulls out her own phone, her fingers flying across the screen. Derek Collins. That's your lawyer friend, right? The one who helped with the prenup? I nod, watching as she finds his contact information in her phone. They'd hit it off at our engagement party 6 months ago. Linda, what are you... Something's wrong, she cuts me off, and we're going to find out what. My son is many things, but he's never been a good liar. There's always a trail. The phone rings again. This time, Ryan answers. Hey, babe, everything okay? Linda speaks before I can. Where are you, Ryan? Silence. Then, Mum? Yes. Your supposedly hospitalized mother would very much like to know where you are right now. More silence. In the background, I hear what sounds like waves. I can explain, he starts. Save it, Linda snaps. We'll see you when you get back. She ends the call and looks at me, her eyes fierce with protective anger. Honey, I think it's time we do some digging. I nod, my shock giving way to something colder, more focused. The Maldives might be waiting, but so is karma. And I suddenly have all the time in the world to make sure it finds him. Derek arrives within an hour of Linda's call, his suit jacket slung over one shoulder, laptop bag in hand. My parents aren't far behind, having dropped everything the moment they heard. Our apartment feels smaller with everyone here, crowded with concern and barely contained fury. Credit card statements, Derek says, fingers flying across his keyboard. Phone records, social media. If he's where I think he is, there'll be a trail. My father paces behind the couch, his teacher's patience nowhere in sight. The nerve of that boy using Linda as an excuse. In my day... Tom, my mother interrupts, squeezing my hand. Let's focus on helping Joe. Linda hasn't moved from the kitchen island, still staring at her phone. His location sharing is turned off. He never turns it off. Got something, Derek announces. A charge at Milton's jewelry last week. $2,000. The engagement ring on my finger suddenly feels like it's burning. I haven't received any jewelry recently. There's more, Derek continues. Regular charges at the Grove Hotel downtown, every Thursday for the past 3 months. My mother's grip tightens. Isn't that where his firm holds their weekly meetings? I finish. Yes, except those end at 5. These charges are from 9 p.m. onwards. Linda stands abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. I need some air. I follow her onto the balcony, leaving the others to their digital detective work. The city sprawls below us, oblivious to our private apocalypse. I raised him better than this, Linda says, her voice tight. Or I thought I did. It's not your fault. No. She turns to me, eyes glistening. I saw the signs, Joe. The late meetings, the sudden business trips, the way he'd check his phone when he thought no one was looking. I saw it all, and I said nothing. Inside, I hear Derek's triumphant, "Found him," followed by my father's colourful cursing. We return to find everyone huddled around Derek's laptop. On the screen, a social media post from someone named Samantha Brooks shows a pristine beach, white sand, and crystal clear water. Posted 2 hours ago, location tagged, Maldives. Who is she? My mother asks. Ryan's new project manager, I say, the pieces clicking into place. She started at his firm 6 months ago. Linda's hand finds mine. The timeline matches. Derek pulls up another window. She bought 2 tickets to Mail International Airport yesterday, used her corporate card. The same trip, I whisper. He took her on our honeymoon. My father moves toward the door. I'm going to kill him. No, I say, surprising myself with how calm I sound. We're going to do something much worse. Derek raises an eyebrow. We are? I walk to my suitcase, still packed and waiting, and kick it over. We're going to let him come home thinking he's gotten away with it, let him spin his lies about his mother's miraculous recovery, let him think everything's fine. And then, Linda asks, then we're going to destroy everything he values most, his reputation, his career, his carefully constructed image. The truth about who Ryan Thompson really is deserves an audience, don't you think? My mother looks worried. Josephine, This isn't just revenge, I cut in. This is justice. For Linda, who he used as a prop in his lies. For his firm, who's paying for his romantic getaway. For everyone who trusted him. Derek's already typing. I can have the corporate card records sent to his board of directors anonymously. Not yet, I say. First, I want to know everything. Every lie, every meeting, every detail he thought he could hide. I want to understand exactly who I was going to marry. Linda pulls out her phone. I'll call his sister. She's been suspicious of Samantha for weeks. As everyone springs into action, I walk back to the balcony. The engagement ring catches the light and I finally slide it off. 3 years of memories, of trust, of love. All of it built on quicksand. But as I watch the city lights flicker on in the growing dusk, I feel something besides pain. Purpose. Ryan thinks he's walking on water in paradise. He doesn't realize he's about to drown in his own lies. 3 days into our investigation, Ryan's sister Caroline drops the bomb that changes everything. We're sitting in Derek's office, surrounded by printouts of credit card statements and hotel receipts, when she walks in with a manila envelope. I found these in Ryan's desk at the firm, she says, sliding photos across the mahogany table. They're from last year's Christmas party. The images show Ryan and Samantha in various poses, laughing, dancing, his hand on her waist. Nothing damning, until I notice the dates stamped in the corner. December 2022, 8 months before she officially started at the company. He hired her, I say, the realization hitting like a physical blow. He created the position for her. Derek picks up one of the photos. The board approved a new project manager role last summer. Ryan pushed hard for it. $100,000 salary, Caroline adds, plus benefits, all so he could have his girlfriend close. I stand up, needing to move. The office feels too small, too confined. He used company money to fund their affair. Not just company money, Derek says, pulling up a spreadsheet. Remember that joint account we opened for the wedding? Half the deposits have been transferred to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. The room spins. Our wedding fund, the one we both contributed to monthly, the one meant for our future. I grip the back of my chair until my knuckles turn white. How much? Nearly $200,000. Caroline curses under her breath. That's why he kept postponing setting a date. He was bleeding the account dry. My phone buzzes. Another message from Ryan. They've been coming steadily, each one more elaborate than the last. Tales of his mother's miraculous recovery, promises about rescheduling our trip, declarations of love. I read this one aloud. Can't wait to hold you again, baby. Just 2 more days. He's getting sloppy, Derek observes. The timestamps on his messages don't match the Maldives time zone. A laugh bubbles up in my throat, bitter and sharp. He can't even lie properly anymore. Caroline moves closer, her expression grim. There's something else. Samantha's pregnant. The words hit like a sledgehammer. I sink back into my chair, remembering all those conversations about starting a family, about waiting until after the wedding. Another lie. How do you know? She's been having morning sickness at work. I overheard her on the phone with her doctor last week. She's about 10 weeks along. 10 weeks. The same time Ryan started pushing to move up our wedding date. Everything clicks into horrible focus. He wanted to marry me before the pregnancy became obvious, before questions could be asked. I need to make a call, I say, walking out of Derek's office. In the hallway, I dial Linda's number. She answers on the first ring. I was just about to call you. Ryan texted that he's coming home early. Says the hospital released me with a clean bill of health. Linda, my voice cracks. Samantha's pregnant. The silence on the other end stretches for what feels like hours. I'll be there in 20 minutes, she finally says. Don't do anything until I arrive. But as I end the call, my fingers are already moving across the screen, pulling up Ryan's number. 3 rings, then his voice, artificially cheerful. Joe, I was just thinking about you. Were you? I keep my tone light, casual. What a coincidence. I've been thinking about you too, and Samantha, and your baby. The line goes dead silent. In my mind's eye, I can see him frozen on some pristine beach, paradise turning to ashes around him. Joe, I can explain. No need, I cut him off. But you might want to start explaining to the board why company funds are flowing into your Cayman account, or to your mother why you used her illness as a cover story, or to your unborn child why their father is a pathological liar. Please, he whispers, don't do this. I'm not doing anything, Ryan. You did this. All of it. I'm just making sure everyone knows exactly who you are. I hang up before he can respond, walking back into Derek's office with steady steps. Time to move to phase 2. Moving out of our apartment feels like performing surgery on myself without anesthesia. Each item I pack cuts deeper than the last. Photos, shared books, the copper mixing bowls we bought in Paris. Linda helps, methodically sorting through 3 years of accumulated life while I try not to shatter. Leave the wedding gifts, she says, sealing another box. They were given under false pretenses anyway. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing since yesterday's confrontation. Ryan's messages swing between desperate pleas and thinly veiled threats. The latest one makes my hands shake. If you go public with this, you'll regret it. Remember who knows all your secrets too. Derek appears in the doorway, his expression grim. We need to talk. Now. In the kitchen, he pulls up his laptop. Remember those offshore transfers? They're not just from your wedding account. He's been moving money from his firm's client trust funds too. The room tilts sideways. How much? Nearly 2 million. He's been doctoring the books for months using client deposits to cover his tracks. Linda's coffee cup shatters against the floor. My God, he's going to prison. Not if Samantha takes the fall, Derek says. I found emails. He's been setting her up as the fall guy since she started, making her sign off on transactions she didn't understand. A new message lights up my phone. I'm boarding my flight home. We can fix this, Joe. Don't do anything rash. He's coming back early, I say. Why would he? The doorbell cuts me off. Through the peephole, I see Samantha Brooks, one hand pressed against her stomach, mascara streaked down her face. Linda moves to block the door. Don't! But I'm already opening it. Samantha steps inside, looking nothing like the polished woman from the Christmas photos. He told me you were unstable, she says. That you'd make up lies about us when you found out about the baby. I believed him. Like you believed him about the transactions you were signing? Her face crumples. He said it was standard procedure that all project managers did it. I didn't know. I didn't want to know. Derek steps forward. We have proof he's been embezzling. If you cooperate. I can't, she cuts in. He has videos. Of us. He says he'll release them if I don't take responsibility for the missing money. Linda makes a sound like she's been struck. I feel the same way. Each new revelation is another blow, showing me how little I knew the man I almost married. When's his flight landing? Derek asks. 3 hours, Samantha whispers. He wants me to confess to the board tomorrow morning. Says it's the only way to protect everyone. I walk to the window, watching the city lights flicker on as dusk settles. Behind me, Derek is already calling his contacts at the SEC. Linda is crying silently, and Samantha has sunk onto our couch, my couch, looking shell-shocked. No one's confessing tomorrow, I say, turning back to face them. Because we're going to beat him to it. Tonight. Derek looks up from his phone. Joe, if we move too fast. He's counting on that, I cut in. On us being careful, taking time to plan, but he's not the only one with evidence. I pull out the USB drive I've been carrying since yesterday. Everything's here, the transfers, the emails, the fake project manager position. Caroline made copies of everything before she told us. The board won't convene this late, Samantha says. They will for this. Linda's voice is steel. Half of them are old family friends. One call from me. Make it, I say. And Samantha, those videos he's threatening you with, let him release them. Better to be seen as someone who made a mistake than someone who stole millions. She nods slowly, one hand still protective over her stomach. What about you? What he said about knowing your secrets. I think about the worst things Ryan knows about me. My fears, my failures, my darkest moments shared in trust. Let him try. Some things are worth more than reputation. The sun sets completely as we make our calls, set our trap, prepare for war. In 3 hours, Ryan Thompson will land expecting to find broken women he can manipulate. Instead, he'll find us waiting, armed with truth and ready for justice. The boardroom at Thompson Architecture feels like a tomb at midnight. 8 members of the board sit in leather chairs, their faces illuminated by the harsh fluorescent lights. Linda stands at the window, watching rain streak down the glass. I'm at the head of the table, USB drive in hand, when my phone buzzes. His plane just landed, Derek murmurs beside me. Samantha shifts in her chair, one hand protectively over her stomach. He'll come here first. He always does when he returns from trips. Good, I say, plugging in the drive. Let him. The presentation begins. Bank statements, emails, forged signatures. With each slide, the board members' expressions darken. When we reach the videos, the ones Ryan thought would destroy Samantha, several look away. $2 million, the board chairman says, right under our noses. The elevator dings in the distance. Footsteps echo down the hallway, getting closer. Miss Miller, one of the board members leans forward. Why didn't you come forward sooner? Before I can answer, the boardroom door flies open. Ryan stands there, still in his beach clothes, tan face going pale as he takes in the scene. What is this? An emergency board meeting, Linda says, not turning from the window. Sit down, Ryan. He doesn't move. His eyes lock onto mine, and for a moment I see the man I thought I knew. Charming, confident, capable of anything. Then his gaze shifts to Samantha, and something darker crosses his face. Whatever they've told you, he addresses the board, they're lying. This is a personal vendetta. My ex-fiancé, upset about... The numbers don't lie, Derek cuts in, advancing to the next slide. Neither do the timestamps on these transfers, or the emails, or the videos you used to blackmail Miss Brooks. Ryan's composure cracks. You bitch, he snarls at Samantha. You promised... Enough. The chairman's voice cuts through the tension. Security is already on their way up. The police will be here within the hour. Mum, Ryan turns to Linda, desperate now. You can't let them do this. I'm your son. Linda finally turns from the window. My son died the moment he used my supposed illness to cover his affair. He lunges then, not at Linda or Samantha, but at me. His fingers close around my throat before security can reach him. "I'll tell them everything," he hisses. "Every dirty secret, every mistake, everything you've ever—" The boardroom erupts into chaos. Security pulls Ryan away. Someone calls for medical assistance. Through it all, I stay standing, one hand on my throat, watching the man I loved transform into someone I never knew at all. "Are you okay?" Derek asks, reaching for me. I step away from his touch. "Play the last file. Joe, maybe we should—" "Play it." The final video appears on screen. Ryan, in his office, coaching Samantha on which documents to sign. His voice is clear. "Just do what I say, and everyone stays happy. Think of it as insurance for our future." The timestamp shows 3 months before our engagement. "You planned this from the start," I say, my voice raw. "The affair, the embezzlement, all of it. You were never going to marry me." Ryan, still restrained by security, laughs, a hollow, broken sound. "You were the perfect cover, the devoted fiancé, so trusting, so eager to believe in love. Who would suspect me with you by my side?" Linda moves to slap him, but I catch her arm. "Don't," I say. "He's not worth it." The police arrive, filling the boardroom with badges and questions. As they lead Ryan away in handcuffs, he calls back to me. "You'll regret this, Joe, when everyone knows what you really are." "They already know," I cut him off. "I told them everything, every secret you could have used against me, and guess what? They're still here." His face contorts with rage as the elevator doors close, taking him away forever. In the sudden quiet, Samantha begins to cry. Linda hugs her, whispering something about fresh starts and healing. I walk to the window, pressing my forehead against the cool glass. Below, police lights paint the rain red and blue like blood in water. The revenge I thought I wanted tastes like ash in my mouth. But something else rises in its place. Not victory, not justice, but freedom. The arraignment hearing feels like a fever dream. I sit in the courtroom's hard wooden bench watching Ryan in his pressed suit, playing the role of misunderstood victim. His lawyer's words echo off marble walls. "My client was acting under extreme emotional distress, Your Honor. Miss Miller's manipulation." "Objection," the prosecutor stands. "The defendant's embezzlement predates any alleged manipulation." I feel Derek's hand squeeze my shoulder as Ryan turns to look at me. His eyes are different now. No longer the warm brown I fell in love with, but something darker, reptilian. He mouths 2 words. "Watch this." "Your Honor," Ryan's lawyer continues, "we have evidence that Miss Miller was aware of these financial irregularities from the beginning. In fact, she benefited from them." The courtroom stills. Linda, sitting beside me, inhales sharply. "We have documentation showing Miss Miller received regular payments from the same offshore account where the embezzled funds were transferred, starting 18 months ago." My blood turns to ice. The transfers, the ones Ryan insisted were investment returns from a joint venture. I'd believed him, trusted him, let him handle everything because he was the financial expert, the one who knew best. Furthermore, his lawyer produces a stack of papers. Miss Miller's signature appears on several of the fraudulent documents, alongside my client's. "That's impossible," I whisper, but Derek's face has gone pale. "Did you sign anything?" he asks. "Anything at all?" "Just what Ryan asked me to, investment papers, some tax forms." The prosecutor requests a recess. In the hallway, Derek examines the documents while Linda paces. "He forged some," Derek says finally, "but others. Joe, these are your signatures, real ones." He had me sign them in batches. I remember now, the stack of papers he'd bring home late at night. "Just routine stuff, baby. Trust me." "The prosecution wants to talk to you," Derek says quietly. "They're considering naming you as a co-conspirator." Linda stops pacing. He planned this. All of it. Even now he's playing me, I finish. The realization hits like a physical blow. He knew I'd expose him eventually. This was his insurance policy. Back in the courtroom, Ryan pleads guilty to reduced charges. The judge accepts the plea deal. 5 years, eligible for parole in 3. As they lead him away, he catches my eye and winks. Outside, reporters swarm. Miss Miller, did you help embezzle the money? Were you and Miss Brooks working together? Was this a conspiracy? Derek shields me from the cameras, rushing me to his car. Linda follows, her face ashen. We'll fight this, she says as we pull away. I'll testify. It won't matter. I cut her off. Ryan made sure of that. Every signature is real. Every transfer went through accounts in my name. He built the perfect trap, and I walked right into it. The prosecutor's offering a deal, Derek says. If you cooperate, testify about your role. My role? I laugh, and it sounds like breaking glass. My role was being stupid enough to trust him, to love him, to believe in him. My phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. Who's the victim now? We drive in silence to my new apartment. Inside, I find my engagement ring on the counter, the one I'd thrown at Ryan the night everything fell apart. There's a note beside it. Thanks for playing. Our Linda moves to tear up the note, but I stop her. Don't, I say. Keep it. Keep everything. We're going to need it. For what? Derek asks. I pick up the ring, feeling its weight one last time before pocketing it. To prove that Ryan Thompson isn't just a thief, he's a predator, and I'm not his only victim. Joe, Linda starts, the evidence is exactly what he wanted us to find. But there's more. There has to be. We just need to dig deeper. Derek and Linda exchange worried looks, but I'm already pulling out my laptop. Ryan thinks he's won, thinks he's destroyed me, but he forgot something crucial. I know him now. Really know him. And that knowledge is a weapon I intend to use. Call Samantha, I tell Derek. We're not done yet. The rain starts again outside, but I barely notice. I'm too busy planning my next move, knowing that sometimes you have to lose everything before you can win anything at all. 6 months into Ryan's sentence, Samantha goes into early labor. I find her in the hospital corridor, clutching her stomach, face contorted in pain. He's here, she gasps. In my room. The world stops spinning. What? Compassionate release, she manages between contractions. For the birth of his child. I spot 2 guards outside her room, but it's the figure behind them that freezes my blood. Ryan in civilian clothes, looking thinner but somehow more dangerous. Joe, he says as if we're meeting for coffee. Come to witness my moment of redemption. Before I can respond, Linda bursts through the emergency doors, followed by Derek. They stop short at the tableau before them. You can't be here, Linda says to her son. Actually, I can. Court order, he waves a paper. I have rights. Samantha screams as another contraction hits. The medical team rushes past us, and in the chaos, Ryan grabs my arm, pulling me aside. Quite the show you put on at the trial, he murmurs. But we both know you're not done paying. I wrench free. Neither are you. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Check your phone. A message appears. Video footage from our apartment. Intimate moments. Private conversations. Release these, he whispers, and your reputation won't be the only thing destroyed. Mom, Samantha calls out weakly. I want my mom. She's not here yet, a nurse responds. I'll call her again, Ryan offers, all concern and devotion now. No, I say, something clicking into place. You won't, I turn to Derek. Pull up Samantha's mother's contact information. Joe, Ryan warns, but I'm already dialing the number. An automated message plays. This number has been disconnected. Funny thing about patterns, I tell Ryan as his face darkens. They reveal themselves if you look closely enough, like how none of Samantha's family ever visited her during the pregnancy, or how all her contact information was provided by you. Linda steps forward. What are you saying? That Samantha Brooks doesn't exist, at least not the one we know. I meet Ryan's gaze. Show them, or I will. For a moment I think he'll refuse. Then he laughs, that same hollow sound from the boardroom. Tell them, Sarah. Or should I still call you Samantha? The woman on the hospital bed starts crying. He found me in Denver, said he knew about the money I'd stolen from my last job, about my real name, said he could help me start over if I played along. Another mark, I say, another victim for your long con. Only this time you needed someone desperate enough to stay quiet. Brilliant, isn't it? Ryan's mask finally slips, revealing the predator beneath. Everyone's so focused on the poor pregnant mistress they never looked deeper. Not even my own mother. Linda slaps him. The sound echoes through the corridor. The baby! Samantha Sarah screams. Something's wrong. The medical team rushes in as Ryan tries to follow. The guards block him. Court order, he protests. About that, Derek holds up his phone. Just received an emergency injunction. Your compassionate release is revoked, given the new evidence of identity fraud and coercion. Ryan lunges for me again, but this time the guards are ready. As they handcuff him, he spits, "You think this changes anything? You're still implicated. Still ruined." "No," I say, holding up my phone. "Because while you were playing devoted father-to-be, I was recording everything. Your confession, Sarah's story, all of it live-streaming to the prosecutor's office." His face contorts with rage as the guards drag him away. Behind us, a baby's first cry pierces the air. Linda squeezes my hand. "Go," she says. "Be with her. She needs someone who understands what it's like to survive him." I enter the room where Sarah holds her daughter, both of them free at last from Ryan's web of lies. Outside, I hear him shouting as they take him back to prison, but his voice grows fainter with each step, until finally, mercifully, it fades to nothing. Sarah names her daughter Hope, which feels a little too on the nose until I see the baby's fierce grip on my finger. Some clichés exist for a reason. The prosecutor drops the charges against me after Ryan's recorded confession. The board reinstates Sarah's position under her real name with full maternity benefits. Linda visits her grandson in prison once, returns with empty eyes, and never goes back. I'm clearing out the last box from our apartment when Derek arrives with coffee and news. Ryan's appealing the sentence. Of course he is. I hand him a framed photo I found behind the dresser, our engagement party. Trash or evidence? Neither. He sets it aside. Memory. You'll want it someday, to remember what you survived. The doorbell rings. A courier delivers a thick envelope. No return address, but I recognize the handwriting. Inside is a letter from Ryan's first victim, a woman named Claire. Then another from Michelle, and Rebecca, and Catherine. They found me through the news coverage. Each letter tells a similar story. The charm, the manipulation, the careful grooming of friends and family as character witnesses. Each woman thought she was alone, until now. He had a type, Derek observes, reading over my shoulder. Smart, successful, trusting. Strong, I correct him. Strong enough to rebuild after he destroyed everything. My phone buzzes. Sarah sending a photo of Hope's first smile. Below it a message. Coffee next week? You don't have to, Derek says. No one would blame you for walking away from all of it. But that's not true. Claire would blame me. And Michelle. And all the others who might still be out there, carrying their stories like open wounds. I pack the letters carefully in my bag, leaving the apartment keys on the counter. Outside, the city feels different. Not smaller or larger, just clearer somehow, like watching a magic trick once you know how it's done. Linda waits at the cafe around the corner, a familiar manila envelope on the table. Found these in his childhood home, she says as I sit. Letters from his father in prison. Ryan used to read them obsessively. You don't owe me his origin story. No, she agrees. But understanding the pattern might help break it. I think of Hope, barely a week old, already carrying the weight of her father's sins. Of Sarah, determined to give her daughter a different story. Of all the letters in my bag, each one a thread in a tapestry of calculated destruction. I'm starting a support group, I tell Linda, for everyone he hurt, everyone like us. She slides the envelope of letters toward me. Then you'll need these too. The whole truth, not just the parts he wanted us to see. Derek joins us, laptop open to show Ryan's appeal has been denied. Linda orders champagne. We don't toast to justice or karma or even survival. We toast to Hope, sleeping across town in her mother's arms, unknowing heir to a legacy we're all working to rewrite. Later, walking home, I passed the jewelry store where Ryan bought gifts for both me and Sarah. The owner waves. He's another witness in the case, another thread in the pattern. I wave back, remembering how Ryan used to say that life was about building connections. He was right about that, just not in the way he meant. My phone buzzes again. Another letter has arrived at Derek's office, this one from a woman in Denver. She has a story to tell. I turn toward his office instead of my apartment, the weight of all those letters shifting in my bag. Not lighter exactly, but more purposeful. Each one a brick in the wall we're building between Ryan's past and Hope's future. The sun sets behind the city skyline as I walk, casting long shadows that remind me of prison bars. Somewhere behind those bars, Ryan plots his next appeal, his next manipulation, his next reinvention. But that's okay. I know his pattern now. We all do. And patterns once recognized lose their power to deceive.